What happens when a ship, as big as an Empire State Building, blocks one of the busiest ship routes for almost a week? In this video, you will know based on actual events. On March 23, 2021, a ship traveling from Tanjung Pelepas port in Malaysia to the port of Rotterdam in the Netherlands took the Suez Canal route. Suez Canal is one of the world's busiest trade routes located in Egypt. The lower part of the canal is not wide enough to allow traffic to travel in both directions at once. Convoys of ships must take turns transiting these parts of the waterway. One of the ships in the queue is the Ever Given. It is a container ship owned by the Japanese firm Shoei Kisen Kaisha, leased to the Evergreen Marine Shipping Company. Ever Given is 400 meters long and 59 meters wide, one of the longest ships in service. Almost the size of the Empire State Building, it can carry a maximum of 20,124 TEU containers and weighs more than 220,000 tons when empty. Its deadweight or carrying capacity is almost 200,000 tons. All crews at the time of the incident were reported to be Indian nationals led by Captain Krishnan Kantavel. Fortunately, none were injured. At 7:40 a.m. local time, 151 kilometers away from Port of Said, near Manshi at Rugola, bombarded by strong winds from a sandstorm with 46 miles per hour winds, the ship lost her steer control. Its bow ran aground and hit the east side of the canal bank and got stuck, while the stern swayed to the left of the canal, blocking the waterway completely. As a first step in resolving the situation, vessels were moved from behind Ever Given to give room for the refloating operation. Fuel and ballast water was removed to make it lighter, while an excavator began working to get the bow out. On March 25th, third day of the operation, the initial assessment made by the Royal Boscales Westminster, the company engaged by the Suez Canal Authority, confirms that the operation can take days or even weeks. It will later disrupt the supply chain since Suez Canal is the preferred trade route between Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. Another preferred route is via the Cape of Good Hope, going around Africa. However, it will add 2 to 3 more weeks to the journey time, but some shipping lines later considered moving through this pirate-infested route. On March 27th, the fifth day of operation, 14 tugboats tried to free Ever Given, taking advantage of the high tide. But the effort was not enough to refloat the heavy ship. Strong tides and winds had made freeing the ship more difficult, according to Osama Rabi, the chairman of the Suez Canal Authority. By this time, more than 300 ships were already waiting on both sides to pass through the canal. It was estimated that $9.6 billion worth of trade is being lost per day. This situation made a rise in oil prices, delayed industrial goods like semiconductors, and a temporary suspension of livestock shipments in some countries, since animals will not last for longer transit days. This incident also adds up to the supply shortages related to the COVID-19 pandemic. On March 29 at 3:05 p.m. local time, with a towing power of 14 tugboats at high tide, the Ever Given was freed at last from its stuck position. The Ever Given was then towed to the port of Said towards the Great Bitter Lake. Suez Canal Authority then announced that the Suez Canal shall reopen at 7 p.m. More than 450 stranded ships are still waiting to pass the waterway. 200 in the Mediterranean Sea, 200 in the Red Sea, and 50 in the Great Bitter Lake awaiting passage. However, delays were expected to persist for some time even after Ever Given was freed, as vessels might face busy ports and additional delays before offloading. Ever Given along with its crews were detained while anchored in the Great Bitter Lake. They were held up until settlements were agreed upon by the Egyptian government, the owners of Ever Given, and its insurer. Suez Canal Authority calculated it lost an estimated of $15 million per day in transit fees due to the incident. Approximately 50 ships travel through the Suez Canal per day. This means that the transit fee per ship is at an approximately $300,000 US. With a 6-day disruption, the total loss would amount to $90 million. The Egyptian government initially asked for $916 million as compensation, but both the owners and Ever Given insurer contested it as an unjustifiable amount and made an appeal to the Egyptian court but was denied. On July 7, exactly 100 days after its refloating and detainment, Ever Given was released after an undisclosed amount was settled. Among the 20 ships in convoy, why do you think only Ever Given lost its ability to steer in the sandstorm? Do you think the Egyptian government made a fair settlement claim of $916 million? Leave your comments below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe and I will see you in our next video.